What we're going to work on in this video is what I like to call in-between inequalities. More formally, they're considered compound inequalities. Now, the reason why this is considered a compound inequality is that normally you would break this up into two pieces. And then we would flip the x and the 2. And we would deal with it this way, which I think is miserable and a lot more difficult than it needs to be. The whole point of algebra is to have notation that makes things more simple, and this notation is beautiful. Let's not do this. Now, let's just think of what this means. It means x is in between these two numbers. So if you were to ask me, what are the ages of kids that could come to my 4-year-old daughter's birthday party? You'd have to be 2 or older. So you can be 2 and older, but you have to be less than 5. Once you turn 5, you're out. I don't want my daughter meeting older men. Now, if we were to graph this, it would look something like this, where if your age is anywhere between 2 and less than 5, you can come to my 4-year-old daughter's birthday party. And if we were to write this in interval notation, we would write it like this, where the bracket coincides with the closed dot and the equal. And since this is open, we have an open circle and a parentheses. Now, normally when you have a problem that looks like this, the way you would solve this problem is you would subtract 3 from both sides. And the reason why I say both sides is that you have only 2 sides, the left side and the right side. Now when we have these kind of problems, we have 3 sides, the left, the middle, and the right. And the only difference in this problem is that instead of doing it only in 2 places, you do it in all 3 intervals. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 3 from all 3 sides, and I'll get 2 is less than equal to x is less than 7. And then when I write this in interval notation, it'll look like that. So remember, equal turns into brackets, not equal turns into parentheses. Now in the same way over here, I would do all the things to solve this problem, just ignoring this side. So the first thing I would do is I would distribute. Just copy that. 2x minus 6 plus 4 is less than 8. And then what I would do is I would combine like terms. So let me just copy this again. 2x minus 2 is less than 8. Now when I start isolating the x, this is where I do it to all 3 sides. So if I had a problem like this, what I would first do is I would add 2 to both sides. And since I have 3 sides, I'm going to add it to all 3 sides. Now, if I had a problem that looked like this, what I would do is divide both sides by 2. Now, since I have 3 sides, I'm going to divide all 3 sides by 2. Now, if I change this to interval notation, both sides would be parens because there's no equal sign. Then I have a 0 and a 5. Okay. Now, let's suppose we have something that has fractions in it. Okay, now, the first thing we want to do, if I had something like this, is I would multiply all 3 sides by the lowest common denominator. In this case, it's 3. So instead of just multiplying, so normally I would multiply both sides by 3. But since I have 3 sides, I'll multiply all 3 sides by 3. So now these 3's will cancel. I no longer have fractions. Now let's isolate the x. So if I would hide this, I normally would subtract 4 from both sides. And since I have 3 sides, I'm going to subtract it here. Okay, now let's do the brackets. The reason why they're brackets is because they're equals over here. Okay. Now, this over here, I have the option. I can multiply everything by 4, or I can just get rid of the 2 in the beginning. It doesn't matter. Either way works. I'll probably just get rid of that 2. And since I have 3 sides, I'll do it to all 3 sides. And then I'll multiply each side by the lowest common denominator. Since I have 3 sides, I'll multiply each side by 4. Now these 4's will cancel, and I'll get 4 is less than x is less than 12. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe so other people can find this YouTube channel. Thank you.